August 11th, 2026, Indiana. The storms came and they did not stop. For 7 straight days, wave after wave of severe weather hammered central Indiana. Heavy rain, tornadoes, damaging winds, and then the thing that drowned everything. Flooding. Not ordinary flooding. Historic flooding. The kind that breaks records set more than a century ago and turns entire neighborhoods into rivers. By the time the waters finally began to recede on Sunday, August 17th, at least 7 people were dead across multiple counties. The White River, which runs through the heart of Indianapolis and its surrounding communities, had crested at more than 24 feet in both Anderson and Noblesville, surpassing records that had stood since the Great Flood of 1913. In Anderson, the river reached 93 feet. Indianapolis Mayor Joe Hogsett called it the worst flooding the city had experienced in more than 30 years. Nearly 130,000 utility customers remained without power statewide as of late Sunday, down from a peak of approximately 300,000. President Donald Trump approved Indiana Governor Mike Braun's request for a federal emergency declaration on Saturday, unlocking disaster assistance for response and recovery efforts. But for the families of the 7 people who died, and for thousands more whose homes were destroyed or severely damaged, no declaration can undo what the water took. The victims tell the story of how suddenly and indiscriminately floodwater kills. The youngest was a 4-year-old boy in Jennings County, in the southern part of the state, who was killed on Tuesday, August 12th, when a tree crashed through his bedroom during severe winds. "This is obviously unexpected," said Cody Lowe, chief deputy at the Jennings County Sheriff's Office. "There's nothing we can say that is going to make it any better. We're going to push through this as a community." Matthew Morey was 19 years old, a recent high school graduate who was headed to Purdue University. On Wednesday, he jumped off a bridge into the rushing waters of the Mississinaut River in Delaware County with friends, something young people in Indiana have done for generations. But the river was swollen far beyond normal. Morey was swept away. His body was recovered Saturday. Family and friends gathered at the bridge earlier in the week to remember him and warn others about the dangers of swollen rivers. "There are no words that can ease the pain of losing a child," Delaware County Sheriff Tony Skinner said in a statement. "While our hearts are with Matthew's family, friends, classmates, and everyone who knew and loved him." Stephanie Sally, 58 years old, was found dead in a cornfield on Friday, not far from her car in Delaware County. Authorities believe she had been driving on a flooded road when her vehicle was swept away. Her family remembered her on social media as a sweet, kind, and spunky lady who adored her grandchildren. A 31-year-old cyclist named James Breyer was found dead early Sunday morning in a hole that opened up on a washed-out road in Henry County, east of Indianapolis. The county coroner said Breyer appears to have gone around a barricade and fallen into the collapsed road. A reminder that flood damage does not end when the rain stops. 3 additional victims, 3 women and men across central Indiana, brought the total to 7 confirmed dead as of Sunday evening. The flooding itself was driven by relentless rain. Heavy storms hammered the state beginning August 11th, dumping inches upon inches of water on ground that was already saturated. Rivers that normally flow peacefully through Indiana's cities and farmland rose with shocking speed. In Anderson, the White River reached 93 feet, smashing the previous record of 23. 6 feet set during the Great Flood of 1913, a disaster that killed more than 400 people across the Midwest, and remains one of the deadliest natural disasters in Indiana's history. In Noblesville, in Hamilton County, just north of Indianapolis, the White River set a new record level as it reached major flood stage early Saturday morning, with a crest above 24 feet. In Indianapolis itself, the river crested Sunday morning before beginning to recede. The Indianapolis Fire Department and other Marion County agencies conducted 56 water rescues over an 8-hour period on Saturday evening alone, pulling 100 people and 48 pets from rising floodwaters. In the hard-hit Ravenswood neighborhood, the city estimated approximately 400 people were evacuated on Saturday as floodwaters from the nearby White River inundated the area. Ravenswood, resident Robert Sizemore evacuated from his home on Friday. He returned Saturday by canoe, paddling through his flooded neighborhood with friends to try to retrieve belongings and rescue his cat. When he got back, the waters had risen far higher than he expected, nearly reaching the 2nd floor of his house. In Broad Ripple, another Indianapolis neighborhood, resident Brett Irving passed a street at 7 in the morning Saturday and saw about an inch of water. 6 hours later, the water had risen to his belly button, and Irving is 6 feet 3 inches tall. His sister and her husband evacuated their house because the basement was flooding. Water was just coming out of their walls and squeezing through holes, Irving said. The basement was just getting bad, and the water was coming in now on both ends of the street, and if they didn't leave, they would have been waterlocked, basically. In Yorktown, in Delaware County, a local disaster emergency was declared on Thursday as first responders worked around the clock to assist with evacuations. Drone footage showed houses, vehicles, and roads submerged in muddy floodwater. Yorktown Fire Department Lieutenant Blair Webster said floodwater was chest deep in parts of the town. Photos posted by the Yorktown Public Library showed water in the book stacks and submerged children's toys. Timothy Hicks, a father of 6 in Cambridge City, described the panic of escaping with his children. I just started grabbing them, running them out to the car without even getting shoes, clothes, or anything like that, he told the Associated Press. Video of his home showed ruined bedrooms, a damaged bike, and a flooded yard. It just crushes me. My kid's house is gone, Hicks said. The infrastructure damage was severe and will take months to repair. The bridge on Hazeldale Parkway, near 106th Street in Carmel, Hamilton County, was severely damaged by floodwaters and backflow from the White River, which created structural instability and sinkholes. Officials were assessing Sunday whether it could be repaired or would need to be completely replaced. Roads and bridges across central Indiana were seriously damaged or washed out entirely. Governor Braun's office reported more than 350 evacuations and scores of rescue and welfare checks across the state, including at a senior mobile home community north of Indianapolis. Emergency shelters remained open after hundreds of homes along the White River and its canals were evacuated. Even as northern Indiana dried out Sunday, the threat was not over. A new cluster of storms was expected to pass through central and southern Indiana later Sunday, bringing the potential for more heavy rain, flash flooding, and damaging winds. Farther east, West Virginia faced a level 3 out of 4 risk of flooding rain overnight into Monday, with forecast models suggesting more than 4 inches could fall in the hardest hit areas, with isolated totals topping 6 inches. Christine Altman, president of the Hamilton County Board of Commissioners, captured the cautious relief of Sunday morning during a public briefing. I must admit, it is a good morning. It's not raining and the water is receding, but she cautioned that recovery would take time. Frank Gounder, an Indianapolis furniture maker, was among those assessing damage on Sunday, which also happened to be his 37th birthday. His home on the city's hard-hit north side, less than a mile from the White River, had taken about 2 feet of floodwater. His workshop and handmade furniture were waterlogged. Before the water had actually gotten into my house and I saw that it was going to happen, I started freaking out, getting mad, he said. But after you realize you can't do anything about it, you kind of just have to let go and just continue, or else you're just going to be miserable. This flooding was part of a broader pattern of severe storms that wreaked havoc across the entire Midwest in mid-August 2026. Tornadoes, heavy rains, and flash flooding brought serious damage to communities from Illinois to western Pennsylvania. More than 5 million people across the Midwest and Mid-Atlantic remained under flood watches on Sunday. The system that drowned Indiana did not appear from nowhere. It was powered by the same atmospheric conditions linked to an intensifying El Niño pattern that the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration has warned could become the strongest on record. For Indiana, the immediate question is recovery. Repairing bridges, restoring power to tens of thousands of homes, cleaning the mud and debris from neighborhoods, and mourning the 7 people who will not come home. But the longer question, the one that 1913's record being broken forces everyone to confront, is whether this is the new normal. Whether rivers that held their banks for 113 years will overflow again next year or the year after. Whether the infrastructure built for a different climate can withstand the one that is arriving. The water is receding, but the answers are not yet clear.